Okay. Hey, everybody. This is Erin. I'm here with Mac. If you can hear me okay, please say hi in the chat just so I know that I'm coming through loud and clear for you. I'm super, super excited to be here today with Mac and HoneyBook and talking all about client flows. This is going to be so good. So, I am fairly new to HoneyBook, actually. I recently switched. I have been loving the experience so far, especially with Smartfiles. And they are basically an amazing way that you can put all of your content, like proposals and questionnaires, together in a really branded, cool way that's simple to use and a really great experience for your clients. So I have been loving that. And at the end of this presentation, you're going to learn how to get some of my templates directly into your account so that you're not starting from scratch. So make sure you stay tuned to the end because we're going to be talking about how that's all going to work. And I see Karen's here. Hey, Karen. Great. So we're going to be talking all about that at the end of this. But today, we're going to be talking about client flows, what those are, why you need them, and how to make them work in your business. So super psyched to be here. So excited to hear from Mac. And Mac, do you want to just go ahead and take it from here?
Yeah, sounds good. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here too. As Erin said, we're going to be talking all through improving your client flows with HoneyBook. So we'll be talking through what client flows are, how to approach them with your own business. I'm going to give you guys a couple kind of thought experiment questions to ask yourselves to assess where you're at with your business and see where there's maybe room for improvement. And then we'll go into how those kind of thought experiments and questions and where you're at can partner with the HoneyBook tools. So where you can go in that journey of figuring out how to streamline your systems and how HoneyBook can really help. We'll do a deep dive into Smartfiles during that time, like Erin was just talking about. Thanks for the little teaser. And then we'll go through kind of some more high-level features. So that's what you're in store for. We'll do questions at the end also. So if you have any questions throughout the time, feel free to pop those in the chat. If they're a really burning question, feel free to put them in the Q&A so we don't miss them. That should just be a separate tab over there. So let's dive in.
Yep.
So my name is Mac. I am part of the product education team here at HoneyBook. I've been at the company for 5.5 years, which is crazy to say, but I definitely know the product like the back of my hand. So you guys are in the right place. If you are a current HoneyBook member, you might have seen me before. I do all of our internal education, so all of our live webinars and internal trainings. I'm your girl, so I'll see you over there if you end up joining or if you're already a member. That's where we'll run into each other. So let's dive into our content here. We're going to be talking about what is a client flow. What is this word? What does it mean? How do you think about it with your business? So this is really just talking about your unique process and your client journey. So it's considering all of the steps that your client takes as well as your internal workflows that you're using in the background. So this is not about reinventing the wheel. This is something you already have and something you're already doing. It's just a matter of your awareness of it so that you can improve it and really being able to identify what that process is for your business. You can be confident in it, you can refine it, and really perfect it. And that's really where the HoneyBook system is going to come in. It's going to help you illuminate what your client flow is and show you areas where there's maybe bottlenecks where you can improve, and then also give you the tools for improving it. So we're talking full spectrum here, okay? So typical steps in a client flow include mutual qualification. So this is your very first start of your process with your clients. These are things like your research and the initial contact, or rather the client's research and their initial contact with you, and you kind of figuring out, what kind of client are they? Are they going to be able to offer the typical expectations that you have of your clients, and then vice versa. Are you going to be able to deliver on the services that they're asking? Another typical step here is obviously just the booking process. So this is where you and your client have agreed that you are a good fit and you're going into business together. So whatever that booking process looks like for you, this is, the process of service selection, contracts, payments, all that good stuff. The next one here is around project management. So whatever that looks like for you. Again, HoneyBook works with web designers, consultants, photographers, so many different people, bookkeepers, all spectrum of business owners. So the project management piece here is probably the most diverse, which is why it's such a broad idea. But essentially, the steps that come after payment, where you're actually in business and your client's got some skin in the game and you're starting to go into business and do work with them, that's the project management piece here. And then the final piece, obviously, is just completing work with the client and going through any offboarding steps, asking for referrals, asking for reviews, all of that good stuff there. So these are just, again, typical high-level examples of what a client flow might contain. But big picture, we're just talking about end-to-end, your interactions with your clients, as well as what you're doing in the background in order to give them the best experience. So that's really the concept that we're talking about. Okay, now I promised you guys the 3 questions that'll kind of help you assess where you're at in your business and where you can maybe improve or streamline things a little bit. So I always preface this by saying these are heavy hitters. These questions maybe don't feel that great to think about, and that is totally fine. I am not bringing these up to, hurt your feelings or point out something that makes you feel bad. This is truly just to illuminate the idea that maybe your system isn't serving you. And that doesn't mean you're a bad business owner, and that doesn't mean you're bad at what you do or anything like that. It doesn't mean you're wrong. I'm just trying to point out the idea that maybe your system could be serving you a little bit better so that you can get back to what you love and what you are super good at and what you adore and why you went into business in the first place. Okay, so let's take the stress off of our shoulders as we go into these questions. Because I think if you have that mindset of it doesn't feel good, it's not a good question to ask. It doesn't make you feel good to ask it. It can feel easy to get defensive about the questions, but it's important to ask them because it creates space for being able to solve for those things and finding a system that is really going to serve you and serve your business and help you grow and be happier in the end. Okay. That's my little feel-good spiel. The first question here is where are things slipping through the cracks? So this might look like clients or inquiries waiting hours or even days to hear back from you. So we live in the age of instant gratification. Your clients are not going to be any different, whether we like it or not, whether they're in the right or not. They are wanting that instant response from you. So how do you have a system set up to solve for that, right? On the internal side of this is just you with general feelings of being scattered or disorganized, or kind of that dreading feeling in the back of your head, oh, am I forgetting something? I just feel like I'm forgetting something. Those are all signs that it's a good time to consolidate and get things in one place so that they're not slipping through the cracks anymore. Okay, so this is our first question. Our next question here is, where are you currently involved in your process, in your client flow, but you do not need to be? Okay, this one's a heavy hitter because this is your baby. This business is your baby. You don't want to take your hands off the wheel. You know that the reason your clients are hiring you is because they love you and they love what you do. And part of your business is you as a person. So it feels intimidating or like it's not even the right thing to do, to let go of the wheel a little bit and not be as personal in every single interaction. Okay, so this is where I want to challenge you guys with the idea that you can still build a personalized business, 100% personalized and customized to your clients and their needs without it being unique every single time. Okay, so what I'm talking about here is when you are sitting down in front of a computer, handwriting out every single email, every single response to every single inquiry, making it perfectly tailored to what they're asking about. Okay, that is an example of where you're taking time and investing time in your business, and maybe you don't need to. Maybe that's really not pushing the needle as much as it should or it could. And maybe that's a place where you could afford to let go and let a system work for you, AKA an email template or some kind of automation to proactively get information to the clients when they're asking for it, rather than you uniquely, individually replying to those things all the time. Okay. And then you could invest that time that you do get back into the clients who do have a little bit more skin in the game and really focusing on that relationship and building that out with them. Okay. Just one example. Another area where I see folks involved where I hope and pray that they no longer will choose to be is in scheduling. If you're one of my folks out there who loves to send those emails, are you available at 2 p.m. on Tuesdays, Pacific Standard Time? Or, oh, you're not? What about 4 p.m.? Please stop doing that. There are scheduling tools that will do that for you. They will send your availability to someone, then they can compare their calendar and simply select the time that works. It takes away the ping pong. It's minutes, hours, weeks, months, whatever, shaved off at the end of the year. So spare yourself that. Again, also on the client experience, it's just way better for them. I don't want to spend a bunch of time emailing you. I'm busy too, right? So those are a couple examples. The final example here is around payments. So that actually kind of brings me to my final question here, which is how effortless is your booking process? How easy, how hands-off are you making this for your clients? The best way, I think, to kind of assess where you're at in your business with this particular question is to just take a pause and actually put yourself in your client's chair on the other side of the computer, right? So when they have gotten to the point and they know they're ready to book you, how long does it then take for them to actually be able to get you their payment information, right? So again, living in the world of instant gratification, online shopping carts, in the world of big bad Amazon, I hate to say it, but in this world, how does your business measure up, right? Because I want to encourage you guys all to think that or to be aware of the fact that the booking process doesn't start when you hit send on an invoice. It starts when your client has made up their mind that you're the person for the job. So how easy, how effortless are you making it so that at the moment of that realization, they have access to pulling out their wallet and booking you right away? Okay. So those are my 3 questions I want to leave you guys with. Hopefully those weren't too heavy. Hopefully those are just illuminating again where your system can maybe improve and help you out a little bit more. Moving right along. So how does HoneyBook help? I've been preaching about all this stuff, client flows, how you can assess your own business. How is HoneyBook actually tangibly going to help you when it comes to this stuff? So what even is HoneyBook? I'd love to know too in the chat if you are a current HoneyBook member or not. Go ahead and pop in there and let me know where you guys are at, just so I can get a sense of what my audience is today. But essentially, HoneyBook is a platform for creative, independent business owners. So that's you guys. And it's aimed at helping you manage, simplify, and scale your businesses all in one place. So we're talking from very first inquiry all the way through final payment. HoneyBook is just making it super easy for you to run your business, all of the client communications, all of the file sharing, all of that good stuff. Okay, so this is just to say that HoneyBook will automatically be solving for a lot of the problems we've talked about by nature. It's flexible and customizable enough, however, that you still need to be aware and a master of your process so that when you get a tool like this, you're not just scratching the surface and kind of barely utilizing it. And just, if you bring a system that isn't fully thought out or, is just kind of getting by into a tool like this, you're going to get a system that is still doing that, right? So that's why I'm encouraging you guys to think through where you can improve and where we can really kind of make sure we're assessing our businesses from a really tactical perspective so that when you do get a suite of tools like this, you're prepared to really invest and know what you're getting into and utilize all the tools as you need them. Okay. The rest it's really up to you to decide. You can scratch the surface and just use it for contracts if you want, but I'm going to be losing sleep at night if that's how you're using it. So just do me a favor and know your process and master your process and think through your process enough so that HoneyBook can really help you through and make the most of your client flows. Okay. Also, HoneyBook, as I've mentioned, is going to give you immediate visibility into your process in a way that you never have before. So it's going to illuminate some of those areas where clients are getting stuck, where things are getting bottlenecked, where things are slipping through the cracks even. So we'll get into some of the tools that help you do that in a little bit, but it's really going to give you that sense of ownership like you've never had before. We're really getting into the sense of inviting your clients into your experience. Okay. So I always like to encourage my business owners, when you're being hired by someone to do a job, they don't know how to do it. They don't know. They're hiring you because they don't know. And part of that includes the experience and the process. So they don't know what it means when they don't know what it takes in the mutual qualification, through the booking, the after the fact. You're bringing them along on this journey. So you need to have a system that's set up to proactively get your clients on board and be invited kind of into the fold of your expertise and your mastery, not just from your deliverable perspective, what you can do as a business owner and what the job they're hiring you for, but also from like an education perspective, like, hey, I'm a web designer. When you're hiring me as a web designer, here's the process of what it's like to work with a web designer, start to finish. Here's what we're going to go through. Here's our journey, and invite them in and kind of set those expectations so you're all on the same page along the way. Okay, so the tools that are going to help you get there, we've got scheduling, which we've already talked a little bit about. We've got invoicing, of course, collecting payment from your clients, contracting, these are legally binding agreements, and even automation. So again, this is barely scratching the surface here. I'm just going to go through some kind of high level, hot topic features, but there is a lot more to explore. We've got a mobile app, all kinds of good stuff. So definitely check it out a little more. As Erin said, I'll be sharing her promo code and her templates at the end here. So definitely stay tuned for that part of it. The newest, latest, and greatest feature that we have released is called Smartfiles, which Erin was talking about at the beginning. So what does that mean? What are Smartfiles? So in yesterday's world, your process was defined by relatively rigid, predefined formats and functions of files, right? An invoice is pretty much just a plain page with some billing information. You've got your itemized lists of things that your client's going to be receiving, the price of those items, subtotal, total, tax, anything. Just very simple file. It's accomplishing one thing. It's outlining what your client's going to be receiving. And maybe if you're invoicing through a tool like PayPal or something like that, there's also the ability to pay. Okay. So for the most part, it's 1 to 2 things. Even HoneyBook was guilty of this. Okay. So files could do 1, maybe 2 things in HoneyBook as well. So now what we're doing with Smartfiles is it's going to allow you to do everything you need it to do in a single client interaction or a single document. Okay, so this just means that you, again, define what your process looks like and how your client is going to interact with your business. So it could still just be a simple invoice, plain text listing out whatever it needs to list out and the ability to collect payment, but it could be an invoice with the next page being a contract, so that when your client is ready to book you, they're going through the legal terms and they're able to submit payment. It could even further be the ability for them to select services, go to the invoice where those services they selected are outlined, go to the contract, review it, sign it, and submit payment. Even further, it could be a full welcome guide, introducing them, sales guide, let's call it, introducing them to what it's like to work with you, introducing them to your services. It could have a whole video, sales video. It could have customer testimonials. It could be an 18-page document if you wanted it to be. It all depends on your process, okay? So it's going to look and do exactly what you need it to in a single client interaction. So you're not having to send multiple things or add pauses to your process where it's not necessary. For example, sending an invoice, waiting for payment, then sending a contract. That could be days, weeks apart. Now you're allowing your clients to move forward with the next step in your process immediately in a single sit down interaction. Okay. So that's really what we're talking about here with Smartfiles. I didn't see many people say that they were HoneyBook members, so I'll kind of go through this slide really quickly because I think it's a little overwhelming. But if you are a current member with us, I highly recommend just checking out this article that we have comparing the old version of HoneyBook Files with the new version of HoneyBook Files. I'm a pretty visual person, so seeing all these check boxes, comparing the two really helps me. So that's just in our Help Center. If you just search Legacy Files versus Smart Files, that'll go through everything there. So what can they really do? What can Smartfiles really do? The tools and actions we're looking at are questions, which are great for forms, welcome documents, feedback on designs, qualifying your leads, anything that you need there. We've also got video. So again, this is a great way to welcome your clients with your face and your voice, and like you're shaking hands, but you don't have to be in person and it doesn't have to be unique every single time. You could explain services. You could show happy clients and client testimonials. You could show off your work and your services, you in your zone, you at your desk doing what you do, making your stuff, whatever it is. Invoicing, and then service selection, which I touched on a little bit. So this is great for creating interactive proposals for your clients. They can go straight from reviewing the services and what you offer into the booking process if they want to. Or you could simply just showcase your services so that they have the ability to select what they're interested in. And then the file could end there and you could have a follow-up call with them to discuss in more detail. Again, these are just examples. It is completely 100% up to you and your process. Okay, so you get to decide where the file ends or where it continues. That's the beauty and the flexibility of Smartfiles. Contracts, of course, e-signature. So let's hop into our template gallery. This is just a quick glimpse at the different types of files that can be built using Smartfiles. So it can do all the kind of typical things that yesterday's version of files could, right? Like pricing guides, contracts, invoices, proposals, questionnaires, all that good stuff. Plus, it can do so much more. You can take it a step further, like we've been talking about. It's files and whatever else you need it to do. So hands-off booking documents, proofing documents and sign-offs, onboarding files, testimonial requests and offboarding files, all in a single interactions, designs, mood boards, all this good stuff. Okay, so again, this is just a glimpse into the template gallery that we have inside of HoneyBook. So when you join, or if you're already a member, all of these examples are in there for you to go source in for inspiration from. So what we're talking about here is really just the design and function of these files is what really is able to come together and set you apart and kind of change the way that you do business. Okay, so those are super easy to just save into your account. And then we have something called a company theme where you set up your fonts, colors, branding, all of that stuff. And with one click of a button, you can apply your company theme to any of those files. So again, if you're an existing member with us, this is a great, great place to start. File sharing is obviously a big part of what we do here. That's our newest, latest, and greatest feature around file sharing. So I had to spend a ton of time going through it, but there's a ton more, like I said, that HoneyBook has to offer. So this is all working hand in hand with our other incredible tools that are really going to help you get into that zone of genius and understanding your process and mastering your process so you can start to invite your clients into the fold and into working with you in a way that doesn't feel quite as heavy and feel quite as difficult to do, because you're ultimately going to have more time back. Okay, so some of those tools look like lead capturing. So this is an example of the HoneyBook contact form. So this will replace the contact form that you have on your website today, so that any leads who come into your website are going to be filling this out, and then they'll automatically be added to your HoneyBook pipeline here. So this HoneyBook pipeline is really going to help you stay organized. It's going to give you a bird's eye view of all the clients that you're working with and what part of your process they are in. So you'll be able to see where they came from, what they're interested in working on you with, who they are, their contact information, all that good stuff. And again, this is really where you're going to be getting into removing some of those feelings of being scattered or like you're forgetting something, because at a glance, you will be able to see where your business stands and where you stand with your clients and how you need to follow up with them. So this gives you a really bird's eye view, but also from your client's perspective, they're going to get a really predictable, trustworthy, consistent experience from you because you're able to replicate it time and time and time again. And that also saves you time on your side because you're not having to reinvent the wheel every single time. So again, putting you in control without any of the additional legwork with a simple pipeline view, it's a game changer. I already talked about scheduling. This is a very simple concept. It's showing your availability to your clients so that when they receive that link, they can go and see when you're free and they can book the time for whatever it is you need them to book. So you're eliminating all of that email ping pong. That makes me lose sleep at night. So this is an amazing tool. Automations is another big one here. So this is again where we're talking about having personalized interactions with our clients without it having to be unique every single time. We can master our process to the extent where we can actually build out a system that will trigger certain files, emails, reminders, whatever you need it to do at any given point in your process so that you and your clients are always on the same page. Nothing is ever slipping through the cracks, and really, really, again, getting into that zone of providing a consistent experience from client to client to client. So you're not having to remember if you did this or if that still needs to be done. You already know it because it's mapped out in your automations, and things can even happen automatically this way, right? So it can happen automatically, or it could just be a simple reminder to do the thing that you had intended to do. Okay, final little bit here is around just general organization. So this is just a quick glimpse into a HoneyBook workspace. So this is what's called a project in HoneyBook, and this is looking at all of the communication between you and your client. So you can see the contact form here that was submitted ahead of time, all of your emails exchanged back and forth, any actions. So did they sign a contract? Did they submit payment? Did they select services, submit a questionnaire, whatever it might be? All of that information is going to be tracked here for you. So you can see the full back and forth between you and your clients. Again, giving you visibility into your business in a way that your email inbox wishes that it could. So just helping you keep everything consolidated and organized in one place. Okay. So what is the big picture here? If there's one kind of conclusive statement around what I want you guys to walk away knowing about HoneyBook, is just that HoneyBook gives you autonomy. Okay, so it's giving you the power of choice in your business. You, as a business owner, get to come to HoneyBook and tell the system what your process is, not the other way around. No more pigeonholing your process into a tool that doesn't work for you, okay? HoneyBook is giving you the flexibility, the customization that you need to be able to come fully as a master of your process and build that into a tool like this. So this is allowing you to combine steps where you need it, but also hold space in other places where you do need that gap, where you do need that pause to consult the client or whatever it might be. So that just means that you're involved at precisely the moments that you need to be, no less and no more, which ultimately is time back to invest in what you love. And that could mean a trip to Italy that you've been dying to do, or time with your family, or completely revamping your business and growing it and scaling it in a way you couldn't dream of, or becoming a seasonal business where you only work 4 months out of the year. You know, we can shoot for the stars now because we have this customization available to us. Okay. That was really everything that I had planned for you guys. I do want to quickly share Erin's offer with you all. So let me just pop that out here, and then we'll get into the Q&A. Awesome. Cool. Erin, do you want to come back on screen and we can go through some of the questions together?
Yeah. I see we've got a couple in the chat.
Great.
Cool. Let me start at the top. Karen wanted to know if HoneyBook links with iCal for like getting availability and everything syncing up?
Yeah, it is in the works. We are like so excited about it. It should be coming out very soon. It's like basically in beta and they're just testing it to make sure there's no bugs. So yeah, it should be coming very soon.
Awesome. And does it currently work with Google Calendar? I feel like it does. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Everything HoneyBook is very Google friendly. It connects with your Gmail. It connects with your GCal, all of that good stuff.
Awesome. So I do think there might be a workaround if you have your iCal synced to your Google Calendar. If you like wanted to get in HoneyBook right now, you could probably do that.
Yeah, that was always a workaround I would have to tell folks. But yeah, it's in the works and it's been a long-awaited feature request. So I'm super excited about it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome. And Karen also is curious, does HoneyBook work with Stripe? I think I have mine directly to my bank account, but I don't know about other payments.
Yeah, so the HoneyBook payment processor is actually built on an integration with Stripe. So you would no longer need your Stripe account. We already have one native in the system. So all payments go directly through HoneyBook, but the processor is technically Stripe. But you don't need a Stripe account. And then you connect your bank account to HoneyBook so that when your clients pay you into HoneyBook, we just directly deposit the funds into your bank.
And it's really fast.
Yeah.
I was really impressed.
Good.
A couple other questions that have kind of like come up that weren't maybe directly asked, but that I was inferring from some of this. And of course, if you all have any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat or the Q&A as we're doing this. But I know some people here are using multiple apps to put things together. And so would HoneyBook eliminate the need to have like a separate invoicing, separate call scheduler, separate contract thing? Would you just be able to do everything all in one? I know the answer, but I want to hear from you.
100%. Yeah, 100%. That's the main goal with HoneyBook, right? Is to eliminate the need for all these scattered systems that aren't really good at talking to each other. We do it all in one place so that you can trust that the system is your one source of truth. And when you send out your scheduler, it's aware of all your other events and calendar things that you have going on, is aware of your invoices, is aware of your automations, is aware of your client information, contracting, all of that good stuff. So all of the tools will be really nicely working together once it's under one roof, which helps save time and ultimately stress. So yeah, 100%.
Awesome. I know when I had everything like separately when I started my business. I started my business a long time ago. So I don't know if HoneyBook was around when I started my business. I don't remember hearing about it back then, but I was piecing together so many different things and doing things like, you know, writing a new invoice up in like a Word doc every single time and like sending it. And it was taking so long. And of course, technology has improved since 2012. So things have gotten a lot better. But something like HoneyBook, like when the first like similar thing to HoneyBook I used like blew my mind. And now like with a progression that I've seen like with HoneyBook, like one of the reasons I made the leap over to HoneyBook was because of how integrated and like actually beautiful you can make the experience now, which when you're piecing everything together, I find like clients tend to get confused. Like, why did this come from this like company and this from another one? And then this is just like so streamlined, so beautiful. If anybody was running a business in 2012, like it was much harder.
Yeah, definitely. I'm glad that it's worked so well for you, Erin.
I've really enjoyed it. Oh, Karen asked another question as well. Can HoneyBook track time and then generate line items on an invoice for all the items tracked?
Yes, it can. And in the mobile app, there is actually like a stopwatch time tracker as well. So you can, while you're working, you can just hit start on the time. It'll just have a little time tracker going. And then when you're done, you can hit stop. So you no longer have to remember to check the clock when you are starting and stopping. I'm guilty of that in my copywriting career. So it's really nice to have a little stopwatch. And then it'll pull that obviously straight from the mobile app into invoices and be able to help you bill your clients for it.
That's also really nice with the mobile app, because if you're doing something, and of course it depends on your industry, but if you're doing something maybe like away from your computer, maybe you're a photographer or, someone else who's like out in a field doing something.
Yeah.
That's so nice to have versus having to be like, okay, I'm starting like at this time, and now I'm gonna like go back and remember to enter it
Yeah.
on my computer and be properly like billing for it. So that's really, really cool. And not something like that I do because I just always sit at my computer. But for some other people, it's probably really
Yeah.
helpful.
Yeah, totally.
And then a couple other things that I think were kind of like happening in the chat were, okay, if you have different types of projects, so like if you do everything completely custom,
Yeah.
how do you come up with a good client flow if every project's different?
Yeah, so I think it's just a matter of sitting down and really thinking through like what is the most dialed back big picture version of, right? Like if we think about like that second slide or third slide I was showing around like what is a client flow, like mutual qualification. 100% of businesses do that.
Mm-hmm.
The booking process, project management, the completion of the project, like all of those really simplistic, high level steps apply to every single business. So, can you take those 4 steps and maybe drill in 1 level deeper, 2 levels deeper, 3 levels deeper, depending on the type of client that you have? So, like an example might be let's say you do 3 different types of jobs, and each of those clients kind of requires a different client flow because depending on the mutual qualification or the service they decide to move forward with, you have different steps in your process or something. That's totally fine. You can have individual client flows depending on that client. So I would say just start like big picture and dial in layers as much as you can until you get to a point where you're like, okay, this is now no longer representative of everyone who would fall into this bucket. And that's kind of how I would think about it. And then make sure that all of the messaging, files, communication, requests for access to whatever it is you need, all of that is built out as a system inside of the files, inside your email templates, whatever the template, whatever the situation is going to require from your system, make sure that that's built out so that when that situation presents itself, 90% or as much of the work, it could even just be 10%. If only 10% of the work can be done ahead of time, that adds up at the end of the year. So save yourself that time where you can. So that's kind of what I say. Maybe your templates are just going to be a bunch of placeholder documents where you then go in and fill in client specific details, but get as much work done ahead of time as you can based on the process that presents itself over and over and over. That's kind of the best way I can answer that one.
I think that's so good. And when I was creating my templates, as a little shameless plug, I knew that there'd be people from all sorts of different industries here. And, I couldn't just like be like, here's exactly how I design and build a website, right? And here's my exact, because like that might be helpful to some of you. It might not be helpful to others. So with my templates, I thought of like the big things that everybody's going to need. So you've got your intro packet, which helps to weed out those bad clients while prepping great clients to work with you. The welcome packet, which welcomes your client to the project. And then a goodbye packet, which is how you like offboard them and end it on a really good note. And you've got like spots to like fill things in. And so even if you only had like these very basic templates that, to get you started and you have nothing these days, like, as far as your system, if you have these, they're going to start automatically doing things for you if you just like fill in the blanks, because like it's going to tell your potential clients how you work. It's going to, your office hours are probably the same no matter what the project is, right? So you can have that kind of information available for clients and have that ready to go no matter how custom your work is. And
Right.
when you're offboarding your client, doesn't matter what the project was, you want to be able to pass on information. So if you're just like pasting in a link to a tutorial, or you're giving them, here are the colors of your brand design, or here's a link to go access your wedding photos, right? It's all like prepped for you, so it will save you time. And so even if you don't get my exact templates, if you do something similar, it will make you look super professional. First of all, like they're going to be impressed that you have all of this outlined, but second of all, it's going to save you that time because you're just going to have to go in, fill in a couple things, and hand it off to your client. And it's going to be something that where they go, oh, wow, like Erin really knows what she's talking about. She's professional. She's worth what I'm paying her. Yeah. Even if it's something simple. So highly, highly recommend getting those like big picture templates done and ready to go, even if they're not mine.
Yeah. And that's that part of like getting into that zone of genius and really like mastering your process and being confident in that. And like, you guys, you are already doing it. It's just a matter of illuminating it and giving you visibility into that so that you can know it well enough that you can introduce your clients to it, right? Like, you know what you're doing on the back end, even if it's kind of like, you know, you're just doing it automatically or doing it sleepwalking at this point kind of a thing. You do have a process. So just knowing that, again, so you can introduce your clients to it is all part of that client experience and really is what's going to level you up and set you apart when you're able to explain to your clients, hey, this is how I do what I do. This is how I operate. These are my expectations of you. Here's what you can expect from me. Here are our next steps, right? So at the end of every Smart File, I always recommend putting next steps. Hey, you're done with this part, but here's what's happening now. Here's what I'm going to go do. Here's what I ask you go do. Here's the next time you're going to be hearing from me. Here's how much time I'm going to wait for you to get back to me, like those kinds of things, right? So that's really what Smart Files are allowing you to do, is to step into that space of really introducing your clients to what you do in a way that you haven't probably had access to before.
And so easily too. So one of the things like that I have loved playing with Smartfiles about is it's basically like, for anybody who hasn't played with it's like a drag and drop builder. And so if you've used something like Squarespace or like something on WordPress like Beaver Builder or Elementor, it's similar to that, where you just like, you're like, I want to put like an image right here, boom. And I want to put some text here. And it's so easy. So if you're not techie at all, you can create your own template from scratch. But even if you don't, like, if you're like, I really don't want to do that, there are so many pre-made templates like in the library to start from. And so like I was like creeping in there like, oh, like what cool things have people done? Which made me want to ask the question is, what is the coolest smart file you've seen, since you're like the smart file expert?
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is so funny. I think it's so funny. We've actually been talking about like doing like a smart file competition with our members. So that's so funny that you asked that, because I'm like excited to see if we do that and then what they look like. But my favorite smart file that I've seen is one that's in the template gallery, and it's just a pricing guide, but it's so compelling and it's so visually beautiful. And it basically, like I've been saying, like it like welcomes the client to the file. It sets expectations. It has what the client can expect, like what it's like to work with me, business hours, like really, really getting into the nitty gritty of letting your client know what it's like to work with you. There's a whole page for client testimonials, and then it goes into service selection, and then invoice, and then contract, and then like a thank you page with a scheduling link. It's like chef's kiss, like totally hands off, start to finish, like incredible, like the maximum of what you could ever do with a smart file, which is just so cool to see.
That's awesome. I'm gonna have to go look at that one and see how they did it. That sounds
I use it in like all my webinars. So if you go to one of my smart file webinars, you'll like see the one that I'm talking about.
Awesome. I'm gonna check that out.
Cool.
Any other questions before we wrap up? Let me give it a bit more time to check the Q&A if anything came in here. Not. It looks like none, unless somebody's still typing. So, Mac, what would be your best advice on getting started? Not necessarily even with smart files, but just like with HoneyBook. Like if somebody wanted to just get the basics set up, like what should they do?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love this question. So first off, I would say you don't have to memorize what I'm about to say. We do have a getting started guide in our help center. Plus we have a startup guide. Like when you start your trial, it'll walk you through the steps that you need to go through in your account. So you can lean on that. But Our concierge team will actually set up all of your templates for you. So if you send us the documentation you use today, your invoices, your contracts, your pricing guides, your intake forms, all of that stuff, we'll actually build them into your account as Smartfiles. So you're not going to be starting from scratch no matter what. So I would say set up your templates, but our team's going to do it for you. Set up the contact form and embed that onto your website, or there's also a direct link version. So you could have that added to your link tree on your Instagram and your email signature. You could text it out to people, whatever you need to do. That way your clients can automatically start coming into the system. So you're not having to manually add them. And then I would say just start communicating with your clients and booking them. Because once your templates are in there and your clients get in there, there's you've got everything you need.
Brilliant. That's awesome. I did not take advantage of the concierge thing because I wanted to learn how to build smart templates. I'm geeky and I was like, I want to do this. But that's so cool because I feel like especially if you have things in a lot of different apps and stuff, it would be so great to just be like, here's my stuff. Yeah. Please make it work for me, because that would be, it's a lot. It's a lot to move your business into another platform. And I love that HoneyBook makes that easy, because I don't know that it sounds very intimidating,
Right. 100%. Yeah. And that much choice can be intimidating too. So totally get it. Yeah. So kind of final conclusion around joining HoneyBook, you can start with Erin's link there. You're going to get a 7-day free trial. And then when you go to purchase, and you can purchase at any time, obviously you could go and just purchase right now, but you'll get 50% off for your first year. You do get that 7 days free at first until you purchase. And you're not forced to put a credit card down or anything. When you use that link, you'll get all of her templates. Our concierge team will set up any templates that you have. We also have a 60-day money back guarantee. So if it ends up ultimately not being a good fit for whatever reason, we will give you your money back, no questions asked. So it's pretty easy commitment to make.
Yeah. And if you're even thinking a little bit about HoneyBook, I would encourage you just to go test it out, because when I started playing with it, I just fell in love with how easy everything was. And I had some frustrations with previous platforms with not being able to customize things or just finding them clunky to use. And I seriously love the builder that HoneyBook has. Like I said, it's similar to something like Squarespace, if you've used that before. Yeah. And it's just super simple to put together. So highly, highly recommend playing around and seeing if you like it.
Yeah. Karen said, how long is that link good for? So I would just say Erin's link is always Erin's link. She's an educator with us, so you can use it at any time. But you can start your trial now, and then you'll have the 7 days to test it out. And like I said, you do not have to purchase at the end of those 7 days. You can always come back and purchase at a later time, and you'll always have Erin's discount in there. So starting the trial right now is no risk. We don't take your credit card information or anything. So you can just start it now. No problem. Cool. I think that must have been everything. Yeah.
Yeah. I think I'm not seeing any more questions, but man, this was fun. And thank you so much for joining us and talking all about HoneyBook and client flows. And pretty excited about, I'm I want to go make the coolest smart file now.
I know, you have to send it to me when you come up with it.
I will. I have to think on what that's going to be, because it sounds like I've got some competition that's up here.
Oh, pretty stuff. Okay. Well, thank you so much, Erin. I appreciate it. And thank you all for being here. And then Erin, I know I'm going to get you the recording afterwards so you can share that with everyone however you want. And yeah, I just appreciate it.
Thank you, Mac. Thank you, everyone. I'm so excited that everybody tuned in here, and I will see everybody around the internet. And thank you again, Mac. This was fun.
Of course. Yeah. We'll talk soon. Bye, everyone.